Let me first apologize for starting this press conference late. We're having an issue. Many organizations, they want to endorse this statement that is going to be read today, but because of time constraint, we have to give little time framework. Otherwise, we will continue to keep people waiting. So we will have to just carry on because you have a busy schedule, and we don't want to continue to waste your time. I'm really glad and happy that Nigerian civil society organizations have continued to unite against injustice, against corruption and bad governance, as well as violence in this country. There are a lot that are happening in this country that requires collective action of civil society organizations. And one of it is what we are experiencing today, which is abuse of fundamental rights of Nigerians, restriction of civil space, attack of civil space and press freedom in this country. That is what is going on, and we cannot, strive this, or we cannot continue this with this kind of action in a constitutional democracy that Nigeria is supposed to be practicing. But more worrisome is the determination by some official of the state to perpetuate and institutionalize human rights abuses. This time around, to even a minor, somebody that is, just 19-year-old lady who had been crying out against constant and persistent attack by bandits and criminals in her state. And instead of the state official to even applaud her for being able to speak out on some of these issues, human rights abuses and violence in their communities, the state official decided to traumatize her, maltreat her, and meet her with all sorts of undignified treatment. That is why we are worried and concerned that if you will choose to leave the criminals, the terrorists, the bandits that are even attacking and abusing communities and even security agencies, you will now choose to go and be attacking and bullying, harassing, psychologically traumatizing a 19-year-old female. We think something is wrong, and therefore requires not only civil society attention, but also require the national and even international attention against this human rights abuse on an innocent, defenseless lady who cried out against criminality that is going on in her state. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the preamble to this press conference. I would read some part of it. My colleagues will also read, and then other colleagues will also comment. We, the undersigned members, with grave concern and deep anger over the continuing persecution, harassment, and unlawful treatment of Ms. Hamdiyyah Shariff, a young Nigerian teenager and vocal social commentator who has been a consistent advocate for improved governance and citizen welfare in Sokoto State. You may recall that after several bandit attacks in her community, resulting in displacement, killings, raping, and assault, she tried to communicate this deplorable condition to draw the attention of the state government on these brutal attacks. She wondered why the state government or the official did not bother to visit or sympathize with the communities that suffer severe violence attack. Sadly, this becomes the reason for her persecution, intimidation, harassment, and threat to life. Rather than the state government to focus on ameliorating the suffering of the people who have some of the worst rate of poverty, almajiri, and out-of-school children in Nigeria, it opted to direct its energy on attacking innocent lady. This is the kind of justice that we are receiving in this country. And therefore, we cannot sit down to allow people to be carrying out this gross violent violation on people's rights, especially to people who say, please, correct what is wrong, protect our communities, do something to prevent violence attack. Ms. Shariff, who was recently declared missing by her legal counsel, was reportedly found later in a hospital in Bakura, Zamfara State, in circumstances that are yet to be fully clarified. While her physical recovery remains a priority, the circumstances of her disappearance and event leading to her hospitalization raise serious concern about the state complicity in unlawful targeting of critics and misuse of power by the state. Ladies and gentlemen, while we do not yet have incontrovertible evidence to directly accuse the governor, the Sokoto state governor, who people believe orchestrating her ordeal, it is important to state that multiple reports and credible indicators point to the alleged state involvement in the ongoing intimidation, harassment, and silencing of Ms. Shariff. Such allegation must be taken seriously and investigated transparently by the relevant authorities. We will continue to pursue, advocate that authorities take the relevant necessary action to protect her and other Nigerians that suffer similar abuses and attack from the state official. Sir.
Okay, so I will take up. We remind His Excellency the Governor of Sokoto State of his constitutional oath to uphold the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and govern in accordance with the rule of law and respect for human rights. The Constitution of Nigeria under Section 39, subsection 1 guarantees every Nigerian's right to freedom of expression, and Section 35 guarantees the right to personal liberty. These rights are not gifts from the government. They are entitlements under our Constitution and democratic system. It is worrisome that the police and the state magistrates are being used to maliciously prosecute this teenager for crying out against insecurity and bad governance in Sokoto State. It is important that the Inspector General of Police brings sanity in the way and manner the police are used to harass innocent citizens, while bandits and other criminals are on social media mocking and challenging the Nigerian security, but are not being dealt with accordingly. The case of Hamdiyyah Shariff is not isolated. During the End Bad Governance protest, 29 minors were unlawfully detained for participating in protests decrying Nigeria's worsening economic situation. And we all know what happened then. Months after civil society pressure, they were released. However, many remain in deplorable conditions without rehabilitation, psychosocial care support, or access to justice. In fact, even 3 days ago, Amnesty International had to pay for surgery for one of the boys that was shot in August in Jigawa State. This is despite the President's directive to investigate and prosecute the police officers behind the prosecution of these minors. Nothing till today has been done or said about this. We cannot continue to have a system that punishes the vulnerable while shielding the powerful ones. We salute the courage and effort by many organizations and individuals, and particularly the legal team of Hamdiyyah Shariff, led by Abba Hikima and co, in saving her life and getting her out of the current quagmire she is facing. We urge all groups and individuals to intensify actions to protect this girl from the rapacious state elements.
Yeah. From contrived detention and be accorded full protection to enable her to enjoy our constitutional rights to freedom of movement, to freedom of expression, and that of personal liberty without fear of reprisal. We also call for an independent investigation into the circumstances surrounding our disappearance and the allegations of the state's complicits. Those responsible for any wrongdoing, regardless of their level, should and must be held to account. We also demand that the judiciary must act with courage and consistency in upholding the Constitution as it remains the last hope of every Nigerian, especially the vulnerable ones. Today, you will agree with us that hope is a dangerous thing for the average Nigerian citizen to have. It must not be crushed by the judiciary that bows to executive pressure or partisan interference in its duty. Number 4, we call on the First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, and Madam Fatima Ahmed Aliyu, the wife of the Sokoto State Governor, and all women in public leadership and in position to rise to the occasion and protect the dignity of a fellow woman, a young lady at that. At a time when women's political participation and governance in Nigeria is an all-time low, silence in the face of injustice will only deepen the erosion of gender inclusion and equality. We are asking them to speak truth to power and uphold the rights of all women regardless of their status in the society. We also call on the National Human Rights Commission, the National Assembly Committees on Women's Affairs, human rights groups, judiciary, and all other relevant bodies to immediately commence oversight and inquiry into this case and other like it across Nigeria at large. These will demonstrate their willingness to address injustice and save our country from global embarrassment and scandal. Number 6, we want to reaffirm our commitment to collective action and support to end violence against women in all forms and formats. Should this situation remain unresolved timely, to save this young girl's life, we will escalate advocacy to relevant international human rights bodies, including the United Nations Special Rapporteurs on Freedom of Expression, the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, diplomatic communities to take necessary action. We will also explore legal redress through the international mechanism, including International Criminal Court, if necessary. This country, Nigeria, belongs to every one of us, regardless of our age, our religious beliefs, our gender, rich or poor, whether we are leaders or followers. Nigeria belongs to us. And civic space must never at any time be a privilege available only to the powerful. You would agree with us that civic space is an essential commodity for any functioning democracy. It is a right that must be guaranteed to all citizens. We would not, therefore, fold our arms while Nigeria drifts into authoritarianism under the guise of protective regimes. We thank you very much for attending this press briefing.
Thank you very much. Now, Dr. Grabada.
An association is very central to the deepening of democracy in any society. And I think that since 1999, what we are witnessing in Nigeria is increasingly deplorable. And we need to find a space for citizens to express their opinion with respect to what is going on in their country. And today we have this huge challenge of insecurity. We are daily harassed by activities of bandits and kidnappers, those who are also not directly affected by Boko Haram, but at least across the country, different cases of shapes of insecurity, we have it. So in the case of Sokoto, a young lady who is trying to find a boy to express what they feel in their community shouldn't be made to be the sufferer of the kind of treatment that we are talking about here. So the government should rather direct its efforts in addressing the challenges of the citizens rather than treating those who are able to find their voice to speak against what is bad for the society. So in this context, I, on behalf of my organization, the Center for Democracy and Development, joined this panel to ask for freedom for the lady who is being unjustly treated. So in that context, I hope every reasonable civil society organization that is within this democratic space should be able to say the same thing, that we need freedom for our sister. Thank you.
Thank you. Tija?
All right, thank you. So the case about Hamdiyyah is a case that is of great concern to all of us, especially we in the civil society organization. And I think what I've been thinking over the past few minutes is the fact that most times political actors think that what civil society and citizens can do is just to come out, issue these press conferences, make this loud noise, and what can they do? And I think beyond that, there are a lot that we are going to do, because we are going to escalate this issue if the state government or political actors think that they can actually violate human rights and think that the citizens can do nothing. And I think one of the things that we are going to do is to see that we are going to move further to begin to compile a database of most of these human rights violations that have been committed by these political actors in this administration, that have helped in shrinking the civic space and also try to clamp down on dissenting voices. And by collecting this database of most of these human rights violations, we are going to develop a sort of a hall of shame, which will be presenting to this administration at the end of this administration, both at the national and the state level. Most of these violations are going to be used as part of the things that we are going to use in engaging them as we move toward the 2027 election. Thank you.
Thank you. Budget.
Especially the Sokoto State government in this case, that if we say we operate a democratic system, there is need for them to act democratic. You know, we cannot have citizens being oppressed on a daily basis. They say when the people affect the government, it is tyranny. And for me, that is no longer democracy. So we want to urge them, because at this, with the rate is going, we don't want citizens to take up, to actually do what they can to protect themselves. If we are bringing up issues, there's need for them to also listen, because for every nonsense, there's always a sense. But in this case, it's something that's happening. It's a recurrent decimal which they should ordinarily address without intimidating their own citizens. So we call on them to do the needful. We have issued a demand. We have issued our demands, and we hope that these demands will be met. And we at the CSO space, we also do what we can to follow up with this demand to make sure that they get it done. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now, the police is now refusing to release this Hamdiyyah. You know, they have arrested her even after she was hospitalized. They are refusing to release her, insisting that the Commissioner of Police in Sokoto says she has to be returned to Sokoto. Her life is in danger in Sokoto, as you all know. So this is the update that we are seeing. So which means that we have to really call on the Inspector General of Police to step in. If this girl, let me warn, anything that happened to this girl, the state official will definitely be held to account. They must be held responsible for her conditions. I cannot understand a minor, 19-year-old, you did not see who to fight. Bandits are there challenging you, abusing you, attacking you, You do not see who to use energy to fight. It's only a 19-year-old. This is a shame. This is an embarrassment to even the security, operators. Anybody behind this should, go and rethink. You cannot be fighting a defenseless, armless, a teenager who is not a criminal, somebody who wants you to do the right thing. As I am talking now, a lot of people are calling to give update on this. So before we round off, we will have the opportunity to hear further information on this matter. Question, please. Hello, Doctor.
That we have been discussing about. For me, I can see this as a clear-cut example of violence against a certain population group. And that is the youth population. So beyond CD, we're looking at the youth who are gradually being excluded from participating in democratic processes, right? And by virtue of that, they are becoming more marginalized and vulnerable because they are beginning to speak up in issues that concerns politics and democracy. And beyond that, there's this saying that the strength of a nation is in its youth. Right, but for Nigeria and for this case, it seems to be the opposite. So we're looking at not just a case of abuse of power, we're looking at a case of harassment, we're looking at a case of violence, and by virtue of our agenda, we're looking at a case of gender-based violence. Right, so in a world where we're encouraging women to speak up more, we are seeing that what is happening in Sokoto State is actually exacerbating the culture of silence that civil society are actually trying to work or speak against. So this is a call to every woman that is holding a political position out there in Nigeria today, to every women's rights and women-led organization, to join us as we speak out and stand against this growing menace that is happening in our society, so that our youth, who are the leaders of tomorrow, even starting from today, can have the rights to speak out when they see things going wrong with our democratic processes. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, now, this is coming. They say that 3 days ago, Hamdiyyah was abducted on Kekena Pep in her village, taken to a village where she was injected with drugs. Later, she was abandoned in the bush in Bakura local government in Zamfara. She was found by a good Samaritan and eventually ended up in police station. After treatment in hospital, right now, the Commissioner of Police of Sokoto State is demanding she must be returned to him. We believe she was absolutely abducted by the state government syndicate to kill her. She must not be released to come to the Commissioner of Police in Sokoto, because from all indication, ladies and gentlemen, these people are determined to take the life of this girl. So please and please, we are urging, do you mind if I just put on speaker, because some people are calling to give this update? Hello, Doctor, we are in the press conference now. Okay, so let me just read it to them. Ladies and gentlemen, Commissioner of Police in Zamfara is under tremendous pressure to release her to the Sokoto State. The IG of Police must take custody and responsibility for the life of this young woman. If anything happens to her, the Commissioner of Police Sokoto, aided by that of Zamfara, will be held responsible. So, ladies and gentlemen, this matter is getting out of hand. In fact, it's very ridiculous that you do not see anybody to fight. All the bandits that are challenging them, all the criminals, all the terrorists that are challenging them, they do not see who to use this energy, except this small girl, 19-year-old. Please and please, the media, we urge you, this thing can happen to any of you, can happen to any of your child sisters. Ladies and gentlemen, let's work together towards saving the life of this girl. Let's work toward calling the IG to take necessary action to caution both the Commissioner of Police in Sokoto and Zamfara, and that if they did not do the needful, we also owed the President to direct the IG to take necessary action to save these girls' lives. It would be pity and it would be bad, it would be terrible if this girl, at the end of the day, they succeeded in killing her. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very depressing, this is very annoying, and this is very worrisome development that we are seeing. As we are reading this press conference, this update are coming, and it means that this thing is getting out of hand. I don't know what the interest of Commissioner of Police in Sokoto and Zamfara and the governor of Zamfara that they are having in not only silencing this girl, but making sure that she is killed. Simply because she said that, please do the needful to protect us against this violence attack that have displaced us, that kill our parents and our sisters and our brothers in our communities, and that you need to come and sympathize with us. Now, that has become a crime. This is the kind of Nigeria that we have. But we will not relent effort. We will continue to mobilize and speak against injustice and speak against any human rights violation in this country. Because if we leave this case, you may think that it's normal. It's not normal. It's abnormal for a 19-year-old to be meeting this kind of thing. Ladies and gentlemen, we will escalate our advocacy to ensure that all those people involved, they will no longer have visa. We will make sure that we campaign and ensure that the embassies and the diplomatic community refuse visa to these people, because they don't deserve to have the visa. Questions? Another question?